The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Am I Mental, a live podcast where people share stories about how mental health impacts life and how life impacts mental health. I'm your host, Dee. With us tonight, we have co-host Sarah.
Hey guys.
And, yeah, you're going to love the guest. If you haven't already read the name on here, and you don't already know, you'll know soon. We got Bexy in the house.
Hi.
One of the
It's
first
good to be
guests-
back.
One of the first guests we ever had, longtime co-host, and back as a guest again.
Yeah, I just can't stay away.
Is my audio really quiet again? I'm really getting tired of my audio changing around on me. Is this better, Kat? Am I doing better now? How am I doing now? Kat's doing audio engineering for us right now. Let me-
Hi, Kat.
Is this better, Kat? All right, we're getting claps now. That's good. And I just went into the clipping. Not good. All right, so before we get started tonight, make sure you come on here and listen to it and enjoy this. Like us, share us, favorite us, follow us. Whatever platform you happen to be on, whatever way it is to get your notifications that we are live, get it. Also, go ahead and set an alarm in your phone. 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and I don't know any other time zones outside of what's in North America. So
7 p.m. Central.
there you go. But yeah, go ahead and set that alarm so that way you never miss us. If you want to help us out, by all means, the best way to do that is to share episodes. Especially episodes that you think someone might be able to relate to. We have over 12 seasons. We have 12 seasons of back content. I'm sure that there's an episode out there that someone can relate to that may need some help that you could probably give to let them listen so they don't feel so isolated and alone. Because that's probably the biggest issue I've seen while doing this is that when you start struggling with your own mental health, you tend to start to feel isolated and misunderstood. I've said it a million times before, and I'll say it again. Your
Amen.
situation may be completely unique to you in all of human history. That said, there are only so many emotions that a human being could feel, and we have felt them all. We may not be able to relate to your exact situation, but we can relate to your emotional state.
Yeah, the difference is in the details, but emotions are pretty consistent between people everywhere.
Exactly. And that's kind of what we try to focus on. Let you all know that you're not alone. We all struggle. We all struggle. Some more than others, but it's not a competition. Your struggle is yours, and your struggle is valid, and that's what really matters. If you want to help us beyond just sharing episodes, you can always donate to us, amimental.net/donate. Number of ways to get that done. And without further ado, Bexy, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, I thought it's been a while since I've been on the show, and I have definitely had one hell of a year.
Yeah.
And that has been part of the reason that I haven't been as involved as I was before, because mentally I was dealing with so much I couldn't do it, and I think I'm finally ready to just, talk about some of that a little bit and let other people know that, I got through it, but it took a lot of support from the people around me, and it took a lot, just a lot of everything. I'm going to start off by saying if I get really emotional or anything tonight, I'm not going to apologize for that. It was a hugely emotional time for me. And I am also coming off of the other day, I had a massive, massive panic attack because of um, situations that were, beyond my control. Some of it was weather related.
Yeah, a
Very
mesocyclone
bad.
passed over your place. I mean, whew.
Yes, yes. And I am not the best with storms anyway. I've been getting a lot better. I've sent a video of me, walking out in a storm and showing, you know, that yes, I can do it. I'm getting a lot better. I'm getting over that fear. But the other day it was just,
And whoever it is that's helping you get over your fear of storms, bravo to them.
yes.
You guys can't see it, but he's got this smug little look on his face. I'm assuming that would be him.
Everybody should know that the whole reason he is not only the reason that I've gotten over my fear of storms. Mostly, I still have some moments that are really bad, but for the majority of the time, I'm okay now.
And that's awesome.
And it's so nice to me that I can lay in my bed at night and I can listen to the thunderstorm rage around me and I can think I don't have those dark thoughts. I don't have those bad dreams now. It's it's just nice. I can enjoy the rain again and I've missed that so much.
Was that something that
Like
snuck up on you at a certain point, or was there a circumstance that brought that fear up?
um there was some very nasty abuse that happened during a thunderstorm
Oh,
that
I'm so sorry.
tainted them for me pretty much forever. It was I couldn't be in a storm without literally curling up in a ball and just retreating into myself. I couldn't stand to hear it. It brought back so many bad memories and
I'm sorry.
painful memories. And
I mean, it's got to help that the threat is gone.
yes,
That threat
that
is
is a big
literally no
that,
longer walking the earth.
yes, that was a help. But there was still some irrational thing in my brain that said storm equals bad, and it took a long time for me to change that.
Trauma has a
I
way of
am
doing
Uh,
that.
my
feigning my
lizard
cosmic.
brain.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Amy.
I was gonna say my lizard brain just held on to that storm bad, and sometimes it would crop up and just completely devastate me. And now it now it might be a fleeting thought, but I just think I'm gonna be honest. I every time it starts to rain, my first thought is I'd love to sit on my front porch with a glass of iced tea and have E beside me so we could just, like watch the storm together.
Oh, I would be there in a heartbeat if I could.
um, one of the so yeah, that's a big major change that's happened, but
And I
a
will
lot of
say,
things.
and I just want to throw out there for the people that aren't in the Midwest, when I mentioned the mesocyclone, a lot of people may not know what that is. Just so people know, when you have a supercell thunderstorm, you can get a rotating mass of clouds that's known as a mesocyclone. From that mesocyclone is usually where a tornado will spawn if a tornado is going to spawn. Not all mesocyclones spawn tornadoes, and not all tornadoes come out of mesocyclones, but there is a very strong correlation. So when a mesocyclone was passing over where Bexy lives, I can imagine how terrifying that is. I mean, you're going to get that drop in
Literally
air
right
pressure.
over.
You're going to get the drop in temperature. Your ears may pop. I mean, it's terrifying.
Yeah, they come up fast
It,
and you feel it. It's essentially
I was
that you could think of like a tornado that's much higher up, more diffuse, but it kind of feels, like you said, it's palpable. You can feel everything change in the air.
and I was outside the other day when that happened. I had not. I was chasing my chip shit.
I haven't heard you call him that
Had
before.
escaped, and oh,
Is
what
that a
chip
sheep
shit?
too?
That's what I call him when I'm mad at him. My chip
It's
shit.
so fitting. I can see. Yeah, I mean, I got to meet Chippy. Yeah, that fits.
Yeah, he's definitely a shithead. Um, but I was outside when that happened, and that I had already. I woke up the other morning feeling very anxious, and I didn't know why. And I don't know if it was just the building storm in the area, just something in my body was not right. And there was, I was, I sat for a lot of time the other day trying to figure out why I was so anxious because there was no good reason. And in my head, I'm thinking, there's no good reason for you to feel like this, but your chest is tight and it hurts. And I have that horrible gnawing feeling in the pit of my stomach. And I couldn't get rid of it. And it only got worse as the day went on until in the middle of that storm, it became a full blown anxiety panic attack where I couldn't breathe. And I literally felt like someone was standing on my chest and it hurt so much. And I was so scared and I couldn't move. I was frozen in my chair, tears streaming down my face. I couldn't reach out. I couldn't call anybody. I could physically see the phone sitting on the arm of the chair, but I couldn't make myself reach out and grab it. Couldn't make myself text anyone. And I was terrified. I thought, what if this is what's gonna happen? I'm going to get so terrified. I can't move. I can't call for help. It was me and Adam. How am I gonna get help if I can't do it myself? And honestly, that's kind of the line of thought that started to bring me out of it. But it took me a while to get there, and I was in a full blown. The even Chippy was he was up on the back of the chair behind me, and he just kept licking the side of my face and whining at me because I mean I think he knew it wasn't this isn't how she behaves. We don't do this.
I was going
And
to say,
it was
from what I
terrifying
experienced
to
with
me.
Chippy, that's an unusual behavior of his.
Yeah, that's one of his ways to let me know that he knows there's something wrong with me. He does that when I have low blood sugar.
Oh,
He's
he's your
he's
diabetes
quite
dog.
attuned. He is. He is. He's quite attuned to me, and he was never trained for that. It's just how he is. Um, he is not a dog who whines at you for anything. Like he is very happy-go-lucky. He is very boisterous. He will at you and kind of growl and bark at you a little bit. But he's not a whiny dog. So when he starts whining, I pay attention. And usually when he whines at me like that, it's due to something health wise. He knows I'm about to, you know, I'm having issues. And I'm thankful I have a dog like that. I mean, oh, he's an amazing little guy, even if he is a shithead.
All right, so not to go to take away from that. I mean, he is awesome. I loved meeting him. He was a great dog. You have three great dogs, but you were talking
Yeah.
about you had a rough year.
Yes, I did have a rough year. And that started out when I got a visit from my landlord who decided that he was going to sell our house.
Instead of fixing the
Um,
AC.
yeah, instead of fixing the air conditioner, I called him out because it was broken and it was like 100 and some degree days. It was horrible. We were going through. I had I had air conditioning units and basically one in Adam's bedroom and one in my bedroom, and that was it. That was the only area of the house that was kept cool, and even it wasn't kept really cool.
Yeah,
It
I
was
mean
a
those portable units
miserable
can only
summer.
do so much, and I mean you were in the middle of a heat wave at the time, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah, I was. And so we packed everything up and had to put it in a storage unit, and it took a while. It took a few months before we could find a place to live. So basically, we were couch surfing for a little bit. It's like, if it, I'm grateful for the help that I received, but that's a position I've never been in, and I I didn't know how to handle it really. I did the best I could day to day, but it got to me. I spent a lot of nights just so upset and and crying and crying and crying because I didn't know what I was gonna do.
You
Um,
are someone who is used to taking care of yourself, making sure that things are, that things are status quo and where they're supposed to be, being in a situation where you are powerless and everything is out of control can absolutely break you.
And not
You
only,
are
I was gonna say, not only
you are so
herself,
brave for being on the other side of that.
yeah, and not only
Not
herself,
everybody.
but she had to take care of Adam too. So yeah, that's just
yeah, it's double the. It feels like double the pressure, and all of that is pressure that I put on myself. Because as human beings, you do that. You put pressure on yourself when things matter to you.
And you're a
And
caretaker. So
yeah, that's what I do. I genuinely, I mean, I was just telling you this the other night when we were talking. I chose that as a career before I ever had guardianship of Adam. That was my chosen field of work. I I say I was, I still am. I mean, I'm not certified anymore, but I would. Once you're a nurse's aide, you're kind of always a nurse's aide. I was a certified nurse's aide for years, all through my 20s.
well, and that's not just a job. It's not what you chose. That's who you are as a person. Some of us are just born that
Exactly.
way, and you couldn't get rid of it if you tried.
No, you can't. It's just, I care. And once I care, like, it's all there. You have, my entire heart is put into that. And
So you had to feel like you
I,
were failing him a little bit, which you absolutely
oh,
were
I did.
not. The situation was
I
absolutely
did.
beyond your control, but that had to be on your mind.
Oh, it was my every waking thought was about, is this the day I that was Adam because I can't provide what he needs.
Mhm.
and my role helping is like when Bexy was
I
like
was
this too.
scared.
I had to keep telling her, what she was doing. You did the right thing. You did the best you could in the situation that you were in. Adam never went without a roof over his head, without clothes on his back, and without food in his belly.
He
It may not
never
have been
did.
it may not have been optimal, but you still were able to protect him.
And
And he
I
knew that
have
someone was looking out for him,
Yeah.
and you did
my,
that.
when they heard about this situation, my best friend's son, he just recently turned 21. He himself has some um, developmental issues, and things like that. Uh, he would be considered special needs, but very high functioning, sweet kid. He just looked at me and he looked at his mom and he said, Aunt Becca, you're gonna come live in my room. And I just looked at him and he said, Mama, I'll give up my bed for my Aunt Becca.
That is so sweet.
I love that kid so much.
Well, he's
And
related to
he
you,
did. He did.
another little
He,
caretaker.
he is the sweetest kid. He is, for all intents and purposes, my best friend and I have a joke. We call each other wifey because that's she was my work best friend and we just became best friends. We have known each other for over 20 years. When she was pregnant with her son, I got her sympathy pains. I had her morning sickness right along with her. that boy, she always jokes and says, instead of your daddy signing the birth certificate, I should have had your Aunt Becca sign
Aw.
it. And so he's like mine too. And he had, to see how far he's come and the person he's turning into as he grows, it just warms my heart to know that, I think I've had some influence on him like that because he will come over and he will talk to me about stuff, and it just, I'm so glad that he feels like he can. And honestly, you know, the sense the sense of relief that I felt when we finally got approved for the place that I'm living in now, I think that's one of the day I moved in and realized that this is mine again, was one of the best days I've ever had. It cannot top the absolute best day of my life. And that's the day I got to hug you. Nothing's ever gonna top that. Because I hugged him and I felt a piece of my soul come back to me. I know that he and I know that he and I are always going to be in each other's lives and that we're always going to be there for each other, and it has it's a completely surreal experience to find a part of your soul in another human being and know that you were always meant to be in each other's lives. And I've only had that a few times in my life.
Like, I still remember the first
So,
day chatting with you on Twitter, and I was like, you were unlike anybody I've ever met before. More often than not, I can be fairly aloof, but there was something about you that really drew something from me, like towards you. I mean, our first real conversation that we had, I called you a willow.
yeah.
Because you're strong, but you're not hard. You bend, but don't break. You weather the storm.
That's stuck with me ever since you said that.
And then you always getting up, I came up with the I will rise because of you.
I know. That's still my actually, aside, when I first came onto Twitter, my Twitter handle was just my name, which was boring. And so my first official like funny Twitter handle was because of E. I was backseat Bexy for the longest time.
And the smugness is back for me.
Because the joke was she was a backseat Becky.
Yeah.
And she actually embraced it, which I was like, okay, this person is awesome.
And so I was backseat Bexy for a long time. Occasionally, I get a call, and I still get a "What's up, backseat?" and now my Twitter handle is Bexy will rise because of me.
You inspire me to bring out my best. You do. You bring out the best in me.
And that's one of the things that people, I think people need to be more aware of, is that there are people who are just going to spark your soul and your brilliance, your kindness, whatever it is, all of the best qualities in you. And I feel like that's what you do for me. You make me want to be a better me, not just because of the way that it affects, the world around me, but because I like who I am when I'm with you.
Same.
I am at my best when I am with you.
Same.
And
I even troll my
it
best when I'm around you.
I know. I know. And so, this whole thing, I have held a lot of this in, and I've not wanted to talk about it and everything because I knew how emotional going through all of this was. And I mean, is it people, I'm sure that people will look at it and be like, well, you had warning, you had this, blah blah blah, and you had to have known. And it's like, it's not even about that. It's not even about the warning. It is about the complete feeling of powerlessness that
And
you have when everything that you know is being pulled out from underneath you. Because I
That's,
lived in that house since 2008.
that's a long time.
that's a long
It
time.
was a long time. I have two dogs buried in the backyard of that place.
I
And
You
tell
know,
us this all
and
the time, and I think I've told you before as well. It it's 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 kind of it's crazy every time I talk to you because I see so much of myself in you, and often we have like these little mirror things going on, and it's almost slightly creepy. But um, I'm glad that you came on and did this today. Um, I talked about it a few weeks ago, but I've been having a horrible time with panic attacks. Um, and I've I've had them, off and on since I was a child, but not like this. I've always been able to hold it together to do what I had to do, and essentially off is having to pick up everything for me right now, and things just keep piling on crazier and crazier and crazier. And so, and for me, it feels like a personal failure. So to have you come on here and somebody that I respect and somebody that, you know, and to hear you talk about it so openly and to be able to feel what I feel when you're saying these things, like, I blame myself for this a lot, but I don't blame you. I'm getting the other side of it right now, and I really appreciate that. Like, I look at you
yeah,
and I see somebody who is strong and somebody who has been through a lot and would never do less than the best that she can. And so looking at you and feeling that way, I can kind of look at myself and feel that way too. So thank you for that.
good. I am so glad. That's the whole purpose of coming on here and sharing everything that I have in the past and am now, because it feels absolutely wretched when you're doing this to yourself and you're blaming yourself and you're tearing yourself down, and we are so hard on ourselves. I am
and
so forgiving with other people, but I am
I did
so
a
hard
whole
on
show on that. I
myself.
talked about that for a whole hour and a half. That's basically my head for the last at least couple of years. Like,
well, it's that
Like
whole
I could,
Solomon's paradox. We are great at giving others advice. We are great at forgiving others, but we are terrible with taking our own advice and being forgiving to ourselves.
yeah, it's like my favorite quote from Alice in Wonderland, the Disney version. I give myself very good advice, but I very seldom follow it. That explains the trouble that I'm always in. Be patient
Amen.
is very good advice, but the waiting makes me curious. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I am totally part Alice in that moment.
for me, I think I've realized recently it's like it's a world perspective issue. What happened?
I think that her phone may have died. She'll be back.
Oh no.
She'll be
Yeah.
back. But one thing that I don't, that a lot of listeners, if you're brand new, this is your first episode. One thing to be aware of is that while Bexy was going through all of this, trying to move out, she has Hashimoto's, and it flared up really bad. So, Bexy, I was just telling listeners that while you were trying to move out of the place that you spent like 14 years in, that you have Hashimoto's, Your husband had to
Yes.
work. You have a special needs brother that you're the caretaker of. So trying to do all that while you're having major flare-ups. I mean, holy cow.
Yeah. It's not the easiest thing. And I mean, I sent you the video earlier today of my leg and what it's been doing, what it's still doing. Um, yeah, it doesn't stop, not permanently, that shaking, that um those muscle spasms, they're off and on like an all day long thing. I have to be really careful when I'm walking.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I got to see it firsthand.
uh,
All
and
I
it's
wanted to do
it's
was to get up, put you back down in the chair, and say, "I'll take care of it." What is it?
yeah. I know.
Of course, I can see
So
you going,
I
"It's
can't
my
do
bladder. How are you going to take care of my bladder?"
that. Yeah, I really have to pee. Are you going to be able to do anything about that? I don't think so.
How good your bladder control? Let me get a teaspoon.
Uh,
That would be torture.
and now you know why I always carry a pull-up in my purse now. I'm kidding.
Gotta do what you
I
gotta
actually
do.
do. I actually do always carry a pull-up in my purse, but it's for Adam, not
Right.
for me.
But it makes for a good joke.
But I remember the first time I shared that with a mutual friend of ours. He was like, "Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I like that. Give me that diaper. Hold my beak. I'm gonna go do something crazy." So I still think about that quite often.
I will.
Those are the friends that make it all worth it.
I will say during that time period between when you found out you were being evicted and when you got your own place again,
Yeah.
I was constantly trying to restrain myself from being in your ear 24/7 to see how you're doing. Like I had to, it's like I know I had to step back and let you deal with things, let you process, but I was just constantly like, "How's Bexy? How's Bexy? How's Bexy? How's Bexy?"
It's one of those. It was not a great time, but having gone through it and come out the other side, number one, I have to. I think in those situations like that, everything suddenly being jerked out from underneath you, my mind automatically went to the worst places it could go, and it stayed there. Like I was just absolutely petrified of the other shoe dropping. What else is going to happen? You know, what else could possibly happen? And
I think the worst thing that could have happened in that situation is if John had lost his job while you guys didn't have a place. So fortunately,
or
that never happened.
losing Adam.
Or losing
Losing
Adam.
Adam was my biggest fear. And I just I couldn't do it. I was like, no, 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 no.
And I got to meet
But
Adam. He's a wonderful kid. Holy shit, he's
oh
a
my
wonderful
God,
kid.
isn't he awesome?
He is.
Yeah, have I told you about his latest escapades?
No? What's he doing now?
Oh my God, the other day, and I have to bring this up because it's so funny. He comes out of his bedroom and he's like, I was sitting in here talking to my best friend Christelle, and he hears her as he's passing the doorway, and he goes, "Hi, Cece. Hi, Becky." I said, "Hi, Adam." And then he just started squealing, and he goes, "It's awesome." I said, "What's awesome, boy?" He's like, "The TV. It's awesome." I said, "Okay, your TV is awesome." He's like, "Yeah, naked girls." I was like, "What?"
Oh, you did tell me about that.
He's like, and he was like, "Naked girls are awesome. They got boobies." And apparently, he had found a TVMA movie on one of our streaming services. I think it was Tubi or something like that. And it was about um,
lesbian prostitutes in Berlin or something like that, and they fall in love. And he was like, the girls are awesome, and they've got boobies, and they take a shower.
Oh my gosh. That's a long time from the Showtime in the Dark that was all fuzzy we used to have when we were kids.
And I was like, technically this is a 36-year-old person. More power to you.
Yeah.
At least you're
Right?
keeping it in your bedroom, But now, ever since that happened, every day. Naked girls are awesome, Becky. Yeah, I know they're awesome, Adam. Go. Like, great. And I know, had I not had the reaction that I had when he first said that he wouldn't still be harping on the naked girls are awesome thing.
That would have been the end of it, yeah.
I can't help it, but it was just so. I laughed the other day when he was in the bathtub and he's like, "Hey Becky, I've got a girlfriend," and it's not a man; it's the woman kind of girlfriend. Some of the things that pop out of his mouth. I'm never prepared for what this boy says.
I mean, he gets.
But that's the joy of Adam.
Oh yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And you got to witness very sleepy, sweet Adam because he was loving all over you in the backseat of the car.
Yes,
you
he
got
was.
tons of hugs.
I got tons of hugs. Yeah. That was a really awesome ride to the airport.
Yeah.
So basically, in case anybody's wondering, here's what happened. I took a trip over to Michigan to go hang out with an uncle of mine. He's the uncle that inspired me to become a musician. And he has 9 brothers and sisters. So whenever he comes out to California to visit, everybody comes to visit, and I never get any time with him. So I made time to go visit him. Now, I was supposed to fly back on a Monday, and a storm came in. Now, the storm wasn't big enough to delay bigger planes like 737s. Oh no, those were flying out just fine. But the little jet, the commuter plane I had to go on, oh yeah, fuck that thing ain't flying. It's too dangerous. So what should have been a 4.5-hour layover wound up being me landing on the airport, on the runway, getting onto a taxiway, and then watching my flight leave. That I was supposed to be on to come back to California from Chicago. But while my flight was in the air to get to Michigan from Chicago, and we realized there's no way I was going to catch my flight, I was like, okay, well, I want to get home. What's the earliest you can get me home? Like, well, we could fly you to Grand Rapids, Michigan, red-eye flight early in the morning and get you home in California by 2:30 or about 2 o'clock that time, or we could red-eye you to Dallas and then get you to your home by 11 in the morning the next day. And I'm like, what's the chances you guys could get me to Dallas tonight? And they did a little bit of work. I'm like, oh, you know what? You will be getting to your gate with about a half an hour before they close the doors to start boarding. You'll have to hurry, but you don't have to go a lot of gates. You're going from the G gates to the H gates. I'm like, let's do it. And but Chicago has the better airport for sleeping in if you're not going to get a hotel. But I'm like, I have a friend in Dallas. And I send Bexy a text going, hey, you want that hug? And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And she had been replying almost instantly on everything else up until this moment. And I'm sitting there going, damn it, Bexy, come on. I need to know because I'm watching my plane taxi up to the gate going, I'm going to be boarding here pretty soon. And I'm not going to know until I land at Dallas whether I'm sleeping in Dallas's airport or getting to hang out with my friend. So I call. Apparently, as I was placing the call, was when she read the text because I get in my ear, you're coming to Dallas! Really loud.
Yeah, your sound completely cut out. You were screaming so loud, which I can imagine in your ear was just...
Yeah, it was like, you're coming to Dallas! Really high-pitched, really loud. And it was like, ow! Pull the phone away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was, like... Oh, in that moment, I was just like, "Are you serious? Like, you better not be trolling me with this."
Yeah, I'm like,
I,
I'm
I
going
was,
to be landing in Dallas around 11 o'clock at night, and I have to, and my flight takes off just before 8 a.m., which means I should be at the airport by 7. So I have like 8 hours to kill.
yeah, I'm coming to get you.
Yep, she got someone to come over and watch Adam so Adam could sleep, and yeah, her and her husband came
Yeah,
and picked me
so
up.
so you got to meet Megan too.
Yes, I did, which was freaking awesome as well.
Yeah,
And then
she's actually here now.
we stayed up all night. We watched movies, we watched TV shows, we shared memes. It was just an amazing, magical night. And the best part was, it was an unexpected free trip to go visit my non-biological sister.
It's amazing
It
when
was.
the stars align. And Bexy is the queen of memes, like, you know, over internet, I imagine, in person. She's even more spectacular.
Oh, we were both just, I mean, we were in tears at one point. We were laughing so
I
hard.
bet.
Oh, it was so amazing.
And we got to share, we both got to share a movie that we both love. The funny thing was, they had the same general theme, and they both had John Leguizamo as a supporting actor, which was just kind of fun.
Yeah. But they're such great movies now. I mean, and now that I've watched,
Yeah.
he was amazing in Tu Wong Fu.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, the first movie that we watched, he asked me if I had seen a movie called The Menu.
If you
and I
haven't
was
seen
like,
The Menu, you need to. It's in my top 5 movies of all time already.
Oh my God, it's so amazing.
That movie is mind-blowingly good. Like, oh my
It is.
God, it's good.
It is. Oh, so amazing.
The main actress was the main actress in The Queen's Gambit. And the antagonist, the main antagonist, the chef, he plays Voldemort.
Yeah, it's Ray Fiennes. So yeah, he was also in. He's also the guy from the Red Dragon Hannibal Lecter movies. Amazing, amazing actor. And
But yeah,
this movie had twist after twist after. It was just wow.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's a must watch in my book.
Same.
I'll definitely have to add that.
I watched it.
Can I derail the train for just a question?
I was going to say,
a second.
Before you do that, just so people know, I watched it 4 times in 6 days.
Oh, wow.
And I still love it.
That's like me when I was a kid. I had like 3 movies that I watched on repeat. My mom knew all the words just passing through the living room. So I'm curious, mostly I think because I've been having the same issues, but you know, it would probably be helpful to some other people. You've been working with her through some of her panic issues, and what does that look like?
So what I tend to do is, you know, I let her talk it out. Talking removes the venom. It's one of the things I learned in my own therapy with my own anxiety. The more you talk about it, the less power it has on you. Because you're actually acting. You're getting out of your own head and you're sharing your headspace. On top of that, I will suggest a cool, chill song that I found. I shared a playlist with her, which I just shared with you.
Thank you.
It's over 8 hours of just chill music.
That's actually one of the things. I played that chill list while I told you the other day at the worst of the panic attack. I had to stop and, you know, make myself breathe and do a little meditation for like 20 minutes or so. But that was what was playing in the background.
That's awesome. Like every time I've had to get into the car the last 2 weeks, I've been like, "Hey Siri, put on something soothing. Hey Siri, put on something soothing."
Yeah, so that playlist, like I said, it's almost 9 hours of just chill music. You put that on shuffle, you could go an entire workday and not get a repeat. That's the point, and I'm still adding to it. I'm constantly adding to it.
Yeah.
Also, on top of that, like, I'll share some lighthearted memes, tell some jokes, talk about my day, just really get getting Bexy out of her own head.
Right.
Share some videos on YouTube. Things that, like, especially things that I've noticed that things that fascinate me, Bexy gets fascinated with as well. So if it really like blows my mind,
have that kinship thing. So I imagine that's probably true.
Well, I mean, I helped her get over her fear of spiders too. So
right.
It's one thing I'm good at. I could get people to not be afraid of spiders.
Yeah.
And that is a tall
order.
order.
Back over to our house soon because Austin and I have to Rochambeau who's going to deal with it.
Once you start learning which spiders are which, that's the big thing. That's the biggest part. Know which ones are harmless, which ones may be medically significant, which behaviors each one's have. So
creepy.
They start getting less creepy the more you expose yourself to them.
Some of them are so cute. I'm going to have to send her the adorable picture of the spider in the sweater.
So the little dancing spiders, those are cool. But all the rest of them...
You know, you need to go on YouTube and watch Lucas. Lucas the spider. Okay. It is freaking adorable. They nail the personality of a jumping spider, and it is just the most adorable thing ever.
I actually, I've gotten to the point where I actually will be like, somebody will say a spider, and I'm like, don't kill it. I need to see what kind it is. Don't squish it. And then I have to take a picture of it and, see if I can identify it myself. If I can't, I send the picture to E, and I'm like, what is this? I'm not sure.
I am a research monster, and I think that actually feeds some of my anxiety because I used to do that with spiders. Like, it would be like a train wreck. You couldn't stop watching. I would look them up on the internet and just look at everything just to kind of creep myself out. But all the research that I do to try to calm myself down now ends up backfiring.
Well, that's why you got to
worry about things more.
That's why you got to research things like the jumping spider. Because they're just cool.
Yeah,
they're purely beneficial.
When you're looking for those rabbit
problems.
Holes,
yeah, don't research. Yeah, don't research.
When you're looking,
don't research Laterdectus, the entire widow species. No. Don't do it.
No,
you will not do yourself any favors. But
I started out. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've always been very logic based. So, it used to be if I had a problem, I could go do the research on it. So I would know, like you said, spiders, information is power, know what's what. But, the last couple of years, the medical has been the worst. I've been having some medical issues that they can't figure out. I don't know if you went through that, Bexy, but that is it's absolute hell.
It is.
Did you have a time like that before they found the Hashimoto's?
Yeah, I was undiagnosed for years. I have to preface this with saying we didn't realize it was the Hashimoto's. It wasn't found until I was in my mid-20s. But I developed very early. As a 9-year-old, I had B cups. And I had started my period that year and everything, and it was always heavy, and I thought that was just normal. But then there came a point in time in my teens where it started to be longer than what it should. At first, it was just a couple days. Instead of 5 to 7, it might have gone 9 or 10. Okay, no big deal. I told all of this to various doctors, and it was just, it's because you're a little heavy. So everything got blamed on me being overweight, which I have always been a little chunky. As a kid, I was a little chunky. The weight started packing on when I was probably 14 or so. I mean, really, started to get out of hand and everything around then. And that's because of all of the hormones and everything like that. My body not processing them correctly. I've had this Hashimoto's. It has been there. And there was a point in time where I had a period for 9 months straight. Ooh. And I mean, absolutely the heaviest flow and I know this is, a disgusting topic for most people, but I think it needs to be normalized that, this is something that women go through, and they don't, There are a lot of women out there who have just really painful experiences with their period, and all these commercials like back in the 80s where they used to show the women like cartwheeling through a field to sell tampons and stuff like that. And
Swimming and
it's
riding
like,
horses and yeah.
yeah, we're not doing that shit because if we move the wrong way, there's going to be an explosion and it's not going to be pretty.
Well, and like, all of your hormones are going out of control. So we're miserable and making everyone around us miserable at the same time. And that's just how that works.
Right.
And
Right. And it's just like, I didn't realize that all of my, I won't say all of them, the majority of my problems with my menstrual cycle were because of the Hashimoto's. Once I started taking medication for that, they became normal. I had them once a month for 5 to 6 days. That was it. And then I started taking my antidepressant, which has a bonus of shortening your period. So sometimes mine are only like 4 days now.
Nice.
They still hurt like hell. Nothing gets rid of like that, but it's not as the heaviness of everything else is not as bad, and I'm so glad about that. But if somebody had, thought to check my thyroid when I was a teenager and these things were starting, it may never have gotten that bad.
Well, and there's huge psychological implications to all of that. I know, for me, occasionally, you'll find a doctor that's like, oh, that sounds like this, and then we'll research it for a little bit. And then at a certain point, it's like, oh, like you said, it's just your weight, or it's just your anxiety, or like,
Right.
They just want to throw it into this category. It's like, that doesn't make sense. And, I know myself better than that.
Right. And you're looking at these doctors and you're telling them, I am telling you there are physical symptoms. There is something wrong with me. I know other women, other people on this planet do not have the issue that I am having right now. They can't and function because I can barely do it,
Yeah.
I don't know how I don't know. And the mental effect of that on you when it's like, okay, my body is just fucked up. And so then you start thinking, makes sense, I'm just fucked up.
Exactly. And then at a certain point, it starts to creep into your circle, especially the mental health, like the looks you get,
Yes.
like, well, maybe it is just, her, maybe she's just crazy, or maybe, and it's not that they don't love you. It's not that they don't care, but, at a certain point, like, you just start to see it on their faces, and it's heartbreaking.
It is. It's a look I hope that I never have to see on E's face. I don't think I ever have to worry about that though.
I was going to say
that's my ride or die.
And I was going to say, even though I can't relate because I can't have a period, my wife, she's anemic and she'll go 7, 8, 9 days. And the physical toll it has on her is unbelievable.
It's so draining.
And it's like a lot of people will be like, a lot of guys will be like, but that's not actual blood. It's lining. It's like, that's true, but it still takes a lot of your nutrients from you. It does use actual blood to build. So when you're losing that, you are losing a lot. And it's like, I've seen...
And generating blood is expensive energy-wise.
Yeah, and it's like, I've seen, because of her anemia and the heavy flow and everything that's going on, where she can't even crawl upstairs to get herself to bed. And some people would look at it and go, oh, you're just being dramatic. And I realized pretty quickly, no. Because my wife is, one thing, I mean, you've met her. She's tough. She sounds mousy, but you can see the way she carries herself. She is a tough woman. She does not want to depend on others for anything. And so, now she's using one of the hormone-based IUDs, and now her period is down to a light flow that lasts 2 or 3 days. And because of it, her numbers are coming up to normal. Her anemia was so bad at one point that the doctors almost hospitalized her on the spot because her hemoglobin was just so low. Like, they're like, you're about to have a heart attack. So yeah, it's like I absolutely will never doubt when a woman is telling me that they're having severe pain or they just don't have the energy or whatever it is that's associated with the period. I got to see it firsthand. It is, as a guy, I felt so helpless. I was terrified. I was like, what can I do? How can I help? I could get you up to bed, but that just gets you to bed. You're still suffering. What can I do? Do I need to go out and buy some iron for you? Do I need to go and buy you some liver? Like, what do I do? Spinach. I'm thinking food's high in iron. What can I do? And the problem is with the way that her body metabolizes iron is like most of those iron supplements that are out there, the particular formulation, her body just goes, that's cool, poop it out.
Yeah.
She has to take a very expensive formulation that's different, and then her body's like, oh, hell yeah, this is the shit.
And you would think that with, all of the technology and whatever that we have these days that, it would be easier for people to find help, but suffering is a cheap word these days. Like, the medical system has become so hard to navigate. We've had the pandemic the last few years. Like, the things that, were being addressed has been pushed to the wayside. And, there are a lot of people having a lot of problems who can't get help because the system is impossible to navigate because, everybody's worn out and it's gotten to the point where no one cares. Like, which is understandable given the situation, but it is hard as a person trying to find help when you are suffering. Everybody is suffering, which, and
it doesn't help that
it makes it hard. It takes a toll.
And it doesn't help that you have hypochondriacs that are overreacted to every little thing that are also taking away resources. Now, hypochondria absolutely is a problem in and of its own, but that is helped with a psychologist, not with a medical doctor. The problem is that you think you have medical issues, and so you wind up taking that time. That doesn't help, And then there's also with
that's the other side of the coin too, though. There are lots of people who are sent for years to psychologists because they're super quick to label you a hypochondriac if they can't find something right away. Right,
and again, that's the flip side of the coin, and it doesn't help. I mean, our system's just overwhelmed. Is what it comes down to. It's just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then they also have people now, thanks to, and I'm not trying to just bag on TikTok here, but TikTok is the one where there's a lot of toxicity on it, where people fake a lot of stuff for attention. I mean, you go on there and you try to watch, you find people that claim to have, oh damn it, what's that one condition?
Tourette's.
Yes, that's the big one. So many fakes. It's like people that actually have Tourette's could spot it and be like, you're bullshitting. You are bullshit. It's too convenient when it happens.
Yeah. Well, and I think that in of itself is a symptom of a larger societal psychological issue.
Oh, yeah.
We have stopped connecting. We have stopped caring about each other. So that is the way people can get, validation and feel like someone cares about them.
Yeah. No.
Which is, it's incredibly sad. And, Bexy, I imagine, if you talk about this great support system that you have, and I'm envious of it because I have a hard time.
Hey,
what?
You have me too.
I know, but no, but because not envious that she has it, but I have a hard time. I have a really, really hard time accepting help and reaching out. I am my own worst enemy when it comes to that.
Oh, I do too. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky in the fact that I have 3 people who are just so in tune with me that they know.
That's amazing.
And now you're on my radar now, Sarah. Just so you know, you're on my radar.
I'm in trouble now.
If you are a part of this podcast, you are getting the full me. And if I become alert that there's something to work on, I am coming. You have me now.
I was like, beware, someone may show up at your door to kick your ass because he won't do it himself, but he will hire somebody to do it because capitalism.
Except I know where she lives. It's just not that far. I will go there and do it myself.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a hard thing to do. you know,
It
especially
really
if you are a
is.
caretaker, because you feel like it's your responsibility to take care of other people. And the other way around just feels completely foreign and wrong. And when you have that sort of, you know, less than feeling, then you almost feel like a waste of resources, you know? Like,
Yeah.
don't focus on me. Like, please don't focus on me.
And that's when you need it the most, though.
Yeah.
That's the irony of it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons I'm trying to build up our Discord as well. Because there's a lot of really good people that listen to this podcast. There's a lot of really good people that need help and at the same time also want to help. There is power in group therapy.
Absolutely.
And the Discord can easily start turning into that. You know, if you have an issue and you want to talk, private message someone if you need to. Or throw it out in the group chat. You know, no one's attacking anybody in there. You get attacked, I will.
Yeah.
You're gone. You are gone. You are banned. There is no attacking allowed.
Yeah.
Just like the disclaimer, you're not being asked to agree, but you are asking to be civil, you know, to maintain civility, basically.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is that we're supposed to try to help each other. We're all struggling.
Yeah, I don't know one person personally or otherwise that doesn't have some and hasn't had some like major shit going on for the last couple 10 years, you know.
Exactly.
Right.
And everybody in that Discord, every single person I've seen in there, whether they're active or they're very passive, not one bad person in there. Every one of you in there are amazing.
And one of the benefits of going through things is that, you know, you have understanding for that in other people. And like you said, there's not one of us that would, you know, turn someone away or, you know, say a harsh word about anything someone's going through.
Yeah, the most that you may get from me, like the worst that you'll get from me is, I have a lot going on right now. Can I get back to you later? Or can you reach out to somebody else? I'm sorry. I don't have the availability right now. That's not me saying, no, I'm not going to help you. That's, I can't right now. Trust me, I want to help.
And there's it's up on my computer most of the day. So there's generally someone around.
Yeah. It's in my pocket constantly on my phone.
Me too.
But yeah, no, I can't tell you how, going back to Bexy's story, the day she told me that she got a place, I danced.
Yeah.
I was on a walk,
was...
and she said it, and I did the jump, click the heels in the air, and then started dancing. I'm not even kidding. I literally did that. All 250 pounds of me.
It was... Not only in that moment did I feel my soul get lighter, but I felt his lighten too. It was
your family.
One of it was a very, very emotional call for me, because it was like there was so much relief and so much happy. And you know, this is I am looking at this place as it's a new start. It's a fresh start. It's everything is good here.
Like, is it a house like you had before? No, but is it a home?
Oh yeah, definitely. It is mine, and it's not always perfect. And you know, it's covered in Chihuahua glitter. I love my dogs, but they leave fur everywhere. I have to say
Chihuahua glitter.
That Princess Buttercup has found a new love.
I love that dog.
She loves her some E. I was talking to him and had him on speakerphone the other day, and she climbed up on my shoulder and shoved her neck over the phone because she wanted him. She wanted closer to his voice.
Oh.
I mean, it helps that the entire time I was there, when Princess Buttercup was next to me, it was endless pettings. I just idly pet animals. If they're next to me, I just idly pet them.
Also totally took advantage of you, by the way.
Oh, he absolutely did. But you know what? That's totally fine. I was there. I have that, and I have... I'm probably the fattest guy that has endless nervous energy. I don't get it. Well, I do, because I eat like a horse. But, yeah, I always have to be moving. I have to. I can't stop. So a pet is an amazing thing for me. Because I'm always petting. And if they want to play, I will endlessly play. One of my best friends had a Jack Russell. That dog would sleep for 3 days after I'd visit. Because it was
and
just...
those are hyper dogs.
Yeah, and because it was just endless play. I'd have the tennis ball, and I'd be just idly, not even thinking about it, just playing keep away constantly, between the legs, behind the back, over the legs, under the legs, over the legs, behind the back, over the shoulder, behind the dog. It is constant. And I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just doing it. And just wearing that dog down.
Yeah.
How long ago did you get the place?
Well, that was both of you at the same time.
Sorry. I got this place in November. So yeah, but it's very quickly it's home, and like I said, it's not perfect, but it's ours.
It's perfectly yours.
What has that done for, sounds like things are starting to calm. Has that soothed some of your, anxieties? Has it made it easier for you to focus on yourself?
Yes. I have not had that's why that attack that I had the other day just kind of came out of the blue. I have not had that anxiety feeling like that in so long. I'd almost forgotten what it felt like. I
will say,
so comfortable here.
One of the things I loved seeing when I first met Bexy, if there was a storm in the area, she was in her room. If she could get under the bed, she would. If she could bury herself into the floorboards, she would have. I watched her force herself, and it was clear she was forcing herself to go stand outside. Exposure therapy. Exposure therapy is awesome. It is hard. It is some of the hardest shit you'll ever do in your life, but it's also some of the most powerful. Yeah. By the time she got into this apartment, there were a couple of storms where she's standing outside going, I am loving this thunderstorm, sending me video clips, and I can hear the joy in her voice that she's enjoying it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was a beautiful thing for me to see. And it's like, for me, I mean, maybe part of it is that I just have, I've been told I have an infectious attitude about things that I love that you can't help, but it rubs off. Thunderstorms are among some of the most amazing things to me. I absolutely love them. I grew up in a town that during the summertime, the mountain would throw a thunderstorm daily into town. So I spent every day in my truck chasing down thunderstorms.
I may have to go up there because I really miss that since I moved from Kansas City. Like those are some of my favorite things. Sit outside, be sweltering hot in the summer, grab your chair, go outside. The temperature drops like 30 degrees, and then it just starts pouring, and it's electric.
The coolest thunderstorm that I was ever in, and it was also one of the scariest. The clouds were so charged that when you looked up at the bottom of the clouds, you could see them sparkling because of all the electricity in them. That was a very intense storm. I'm not even going to lie. That was a very intense... I knew 3 people that got either struck that day or nearly struck, where they had the St. Elmo's fire, and that their hair stood out towards the bolt that missed them by a foot. My sister.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was in a lot of ways, it was a terrifying storm. But where I was, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
So has your perspective changed? You were talking about, having one that came out of nowhere and you almost forgot what it was like. When I have those times, like, I almost have this sense of like, I guess the closest thing I can call it is like validation of like, okay, yes, it's a thing. It's not my head like dragging me crazy all the time. It was a period. Like it was a period that was bad, and now it's over. And it may still happen occasionally, but like I'm not fundamentally broken. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like
yes. Very much. Because the moment that I calmed down, I came out of it. I came back to my senses and everything, I thought usually my head would go to the worst case, dark places, things like that. But my first thought was, okay, that was bad, and that hasn't happened in a while, but you got through it. So,
Mm.
yay. My first thought wasn't, wow, I really suck like it would have been before. That was
Right.
awful. I hope that never happens again. And of course, yes, I do hope that never happens again. But as bad as the experience was, I survived it. So I came out on top. That's a
Yes.
win for me. And I think it changed the way I think about things fundamentally, because you have to be in your own corner. And so often we're not. We can look at other people and help them up and raise them up and give them a hand and give them the validation that they need, but we're so stingy when it comes to ourselves with that. We don't think, hey, you know, that panic attack was really bad, or hey, that bout of depression was really really bad, but look at me. I came through it and I'm still standing and I'm still here and I'm still doing what I need to do. And that is fucking amazing. And I absolutely agree. I wanted to break out into that too, by the way.
And I'm still
Still
standing.
standing better than I've ever been. Yes. Yes. You know what?
Yes.
At first I was afraid. I was petrified.
But like there was a saying, and it may have come from you. I don't know when I heard it first. Like I said, it could have been from you, which is if you're listening to this right now, you have survived every single thing that life has thrown at you at this point, and look at you. You're still here.
Exactly.
Sarah's running out of juice. But yeah, no, it's really that honestly, just being able to really embrace that is powerful. To realize you really have survived everything life has thrown at you. Oh,
Right.
sure, it could beat you down. It could send you to the hospital.
Right. This. No one ever said life was easy or fair or anything like that. There's some people are going to go through more than others. Some people are going to go through less than others. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter how insignificant you think it is. If you come out on top, you go through these experiences, and they they teach you about yourself. If you're really 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 wanting to listen to it. What did I learn about myself through this? I learned that this time, yes, there was the panic attack. It was bad. I still am not quite sure why it happened, but it did.
Oh,
And
I have
it's okay.
I have a feeling a lot of it is just a physiological response that we instinctively have to that severe drop in temperature and severe drop in air pressure.
I think
All
it
creatures
very
panic.
well could have been.
All creatures panic.
I think it could have been. It came at on a day where I was already feeling, kind of anxious, and it could have just been that my body sensed the change in the weather is coming, and with Hashimoto's, storms fuck with me so bad.
Yep.
Well, and like you said, your lizard brain, is
Yeah.
totally responsible for all of that nervousness. And like
Yes.
you said, we're wired to feel that shift in the air temperature and all of that, that danger's
And
coming. So
I was outside when it happened. I was trying to get Mr. Chippy. He had made my anxiety worse because he actually went all the way down to the end of my apartment complex where the big road is. And I watched him almost get hit.
So you were already amped up.
Yeah.
And so I was already amped up. And then as we are walking back to the apartment, and he wouldn't let me carry him. Normally he'll let me pick him up and carry him, but he was not having it. He had some kind of energy the other day.
Maybe he felt it
He
coming.
was, and maybe he did, because he was
Yeah.
not letting me carry him. And he kept, when I would say, come on, let's go home, he kept looking up at me, and then he'd look toward the apartment and he'd look back at me like, are you okay? Are you going to make it? And I got to, there's like a piece of median with some trees in it in the middle, in between where my apartment complex is at the very back and the units in front of us, and there's parking on either side of it. And I was right there in the middle of that when the temperature instantly went from 77 to 55. And I felt the cold, and that's when the real panic set in for me. And I was completely freaked out by that. I
And
have
do you have a lot
not
of pain
been
associated with cold?
yes.
That may have played into it as well.
People with Hashimoto's have extreme sensitivities. Sometimes it's to hot, sometimes it's to cold. Mine happens to be to cold. I feel it really badly in my hands and my feet, especially, um, which sucks because I also have inflammation in my feet, and the treatment for the inflammation is to keep my feet on blocks of ice.
Oh God.
But the that I can't do that for very long because
I
it
bet.
causes so much pain.
Well, your
So
body was probably tensing up, preparing for the pain to come because it felt the drop in temperature. So,
oh yeah.
that's gonna release adrenaline as well.
Yeah, and I am today is day 2 of recovery from that because I've had so many issues with muscle spasms in my legs and stuff, and even my hands aren't wanting to be like they're kind of claws.
What does that look like for you, the recovery? Because mine have been coming really hard and fast lately. So, I don't have a lot of downtime between them. What,
Yeah,
what does that look like? What do you do for recovery when you have a bad one like that?
the anything that I can do to help ease the stress from my body, because my issue was I had so much I would everything got I tensed up so bad that I had trouble getting the tension out of like my shoulders and across my chest and my back. Um, Icy hot, tons of icy hot all over my back, or Tiger Balm. Anything that has that like deep heat sensation. I've found that if I'm feeling like that, like I have all that tightness, and I know it's due from a flare up, or something like this panic attack. I know that if I take care of the physical symptoms, the more that they go away, the clearer my mental health is going to be. And that's a big thing for me. I don't think a lot of people really think about it that way, but I've had to learn to think about it that way. I have to be good to my body so that it will be better faster.
I hadn't really either, but that does make sense. I find when I'm like, especially when I get like those wet dog shakes when I'm having a panic attack,
Hmm.
even being just a little bit cold makes it worse. So if I warm myself up, it makes it a lot better.
Right.
And my therapist keeps asking me, because with the kind of PTSD that I had, they try not to focus so much on the past part, but the current triggers, like trying to nail down what it is exactly that started it, which has proved
Hmm.
difficult. So they've moved on to like the feeling that my body has, like describing how I feel when it starts,
Hmm.
to that end. There's Netflix has a new series from Headspace, There's one on meditation. There's one on sleep. And the meditation one for me has been amazing. It's like, episodic series, done by a monk who, lived at a monastery. And so he's talking about these little lessons that he learned over. What? Why are you guys laughing? What?
So there's a Mr. Ballin episode that came out this week.
Oh.
You said monk.
What are you laughing at?
You said monk, and there's this Buddhist monk thing that kept me up all night after watching the video. It's a particular
me too.
ritual that That's why when you said
Terrifying.
it, I saw Bexy's eyes get really big, and I was like, oh, she heard it too.
That's funny.
Queen
of memes.
Basically, the process... Okay, so I'm just going to throw it out there really fast. There is a very small sector, or like group from the Buddhist monks that they believe that they have found a way of achieving nirvana, which to find nirvana is to be able to break the cycle of birth, suffer, death.
Right.
It's a self-mummification ritual. It takes years to complete. And only 26 people have ever achieved nirvana that way, out of tens of thousands that have tried. All of them die.
I think I've heard of this, not recently, though.
Yeah, that's why we both got like that, oh shit, because you're talking about a monk.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, a lot of stuff that comes from, and monk doesn't mean necessarily Buddhist monk. There's other types of monks out there.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's a Buddhist monk, a lot of it is really, really good advice. It really is. I mean, Buddhists are the kings of meditation. Hands down.
Yeah.
That is
definitely
their thing. But
and that's what the series is on, meditation.
Yeah. So when you said that, it just happened to hit. Just
Gotcha.
had that episode not come out before you said that, we never would have reacted that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you want to continue, sorry about that distraction there.
No. That was all I had to say. I was right at the end, and you guys both started laughing, and I was not sure what was happening. But that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, one thing I did throw in the episode's general channel in our Discord was the 6 stages of Hashimoto's from 0 to 5. Bexy, which stage are you in? I know which one, but...
I am most likely heading into stage 5 soon.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to know what that means, I did throw in a link. Like I said, it has all the stages from 0 through 5.
I actually wrote something about that I'd like to read, if you don't mind.
It's your episode.
Your writings are beautiful. Sorry, before you do that, I just have to say, I've been so moved by so many of the things that you have put in your little poetry space. You're amazing.
Have you found
Thank
her
you.
published books? They're published online, but yeah, she has 3 books up there. 3, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll drop a link in the Discord again.
Please do.
Yeah, it's just on Wattpad, but it's something.
It's out there.
And it's out there.
It's everything.
And
being able to, express
Yeah.
yourself in a way that touches other people, that's everything.
yeah. I was, the other day I was thinking about all of this, and this is something that I wrote about it. It's not exactly a poem, but I guess it maybe is. I don't know. I don't exactly know what I would call it, but
It's a writing from your soul. I know you.
yeah. Yeah. I watch myself beginning to diminish, losing motor skills, memory lapses, literally losing my voice. It terrifies me. Knowing that I cannot stop it from happening sickens me. And I dread the day that I lose it all. And people have laughed at me and said, it can't be that bad. And I assure you, it's worse than you know. Because every tremor in my hand is a word unwritten. And for a poet, that's worse than death. Every thought that vanishes in the breeze is a frustration. Will I ever be able to eloquently express myself again? Every time I get laryngitis, I ask myself, will this be the last that I get to speak? What will I do when I can no longer sing out joyously while cooking? When I can no longer laugh out loud with friends? No longer write the words that fill my soul? No longer remember?
I actually did read that one the other day, and I only have a very light understanding of what that is like, having things stolen from you. And I don't know if you saw, but E's face the whole time was just found furiousness.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying really hard to hold it together myself right now.
I know you are, sweetie. You, regardless of what happens to your voice or your hands, you will always be a poet. You will always have the soul of an artist, and you will always find a loving way to express that because that's who you are.
And I found out about it's technically deep faking, but I got Bexy to read me a poem. I input her voice into this website. And then I was able to go ahead and synthesize poems and stuff with her voice.
In my voice.
In her voice. And it sounds so much like her. I even made her talk about her murderous boobs.
Can you play it?
It's on my other computer, unfortunately.
Okay.
I put it in our group, but man, that was so long ago.
Regardless of what happens,
if I find it, I will play it. I'm looking.
Yeah, and so regardless of what happens, you always know at the very least, you will always be there to hold you up and continue to screw with you until you laugh and wet yourself. That will just be a thing forever.
Yes.
Yes, he will. Yeah, I found it.
You found it?
I found it. Hold on and let me.
You might need
just
to
let
send
me
it to
find
me.
E. I'm trying. I'm sending it into the only I have it in our in my mental group chat is where I sent it.
Okay. And I also sent you where I had your voice reading my poem, The Longest Night.
Yeah.
There it is. Oh, man, I hope this plays. It's an AMR file. I don't know.
I don't know if it will.
I will try. No, came up red. Okay, let me convert it.
I have to be difficult, of course.
Hey!
Oh, no this worries. Sounds like it's totally worth it.
Come on, give me...
How you doing over there, Mama?
There we go. This will work. Let me make sure. Yep. Here we go. Ready?
Yes.
Hi there, my name is Bexy. My non-bio bro married a Mexi. Can you believe I wear my heart on my sleeve and my murderous boobs are sexy?
Everybody else just heard it. I love that.
I didn't get to hear it.
It's a little limerick. Later. Yeah, and that was completely that's a deep fake. For everybody listening. And that was the free version for a deep fake. That wasn't actual high quality. It could do a lot better.
But I like that my murderous boobs will live on even after I'm gone.
Your murderous boobs are sexy.
Win in my books. They are.
I'm gonna send it back as a MP3 or an M4A, so it's easier to play.
Okay. That's awesome.
And sent. Yeah, I found a way that if Hashimoto's takes away her voice, if she still has the ability to type, she can still have a voice. Like, that was all I could think when I saw that technology. I was like, I can help Bexy. That's all I could think.
In the past, I would have said, I don't deserve you.
That's not your decision.
But no, it's not. And you know what? There's nobody in this world I deserve to have in my life more than you.
You're going to make me cry. I need to hold it together.
You really, I know you need to, but finally getting to meet you was the best experience I've ever had.
Was that the first time?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
It was.
That hug was amazing.
Oh my God.
It was probably one of the best hugs I've ever received.
Just being in his presence for me is the best gift I've ever gotten.
I love that. Like I said, I love going to see my uncle, and if you're listening, Uncle, I love you very much. It was a great trip, but the unexpected trip to go see Bexy was the best part. Sorry, it was. That's just all there's to it. It was the best part.
We got about 8 hours, and
we wasted 0 seconds.
8 hours. Greatest awesome. 8 hours ever.
I got on my.
I hope you know I'm not letting you go to sleep. I said, I hope you know I wasn't planning on sleeping.
Yep, and I was punch drunk, so tired getting on that plane. I slept the whole way. And okay, I'm 6'1". Sleeping in coach at 6'1" is not easy. I slept like the dead. I hurt so much trying to get off of that plane when I got home.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to admit, after
she looked at my butt.
Staying up that late and everything, that threw me into a flare up. Throwing off, butts was the greatest flare up I've ever had, and I don't I smiled through the whole thing because it didn't matter.
Sarah just threw out hashtag worth it.
Exactly.
Or is it wart hit? It's a wart hit.
No, either way.
Yeah, that was so worth it. I enjoyed every second.
It was. And, I'm going to go back and tell everybody the second movie that Ian and I watched is called Chef. And it has John Favreau.
Such a good...
John Leguizamo. It is such a good, feel-good movie.
It is.
I've been wanting to watch that. I have to go see it now.
You have to see it.
Which one did you watch first, though? Menu or
The Menu?
Chef?
We watched The Menu first. And then we watched Chef.
And that's a good way to do it, because then you can actually sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the order in which to do it in, and I think that you see two completely different sides of John Leguizamo watching these two movies back to back.
It shows the depth of his acting abilities.
Is The Menu horror?
The Menu is
psychological thriller.
That's what I would call it. It's a psychological thriller, dark comedy. Though they categorize it as a horror satire. Like, quite literally, the last thing they show has you horrified and laughing your ass off at the same time.
Yeah.
Are you talking like Zombieland horror satire?
No.
I didn't think so. Okay.
This is the dark side of humanity.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So definitely need to step after that.
Yes. And The Chef is such a, oh my God, if it does not showcase some of the best parenting that I've ever seen from a dad. I mean, and it starts off where you think, he's not that great of a dad, but the more you watch this movie and the more you realize it is such a good, it would be a great, if father-son kind of bonding movie to watch. Like,
it is. I agree.
Seriously.
And really, what it is that the dad had to learn how to be the dad that he truly was capable of being.
Right.
It is such a good movie. It is a really feel good movie.
Like that.
Yeah.
That's almost that's right up there with one of the presidents, Truman, I think, or maybe it was Best. I don't know, but who said it's never too late to be what you might have been. That's been like my banner for the last 5 years or so.
That is a great saying. I've never heard that before, but I love
amazing. I do too. I've come, I wanted to come back on the show because I've come a long way, even from when I first started this show, when I first, the first time I was a guest, to, even through the co-hosting this, the experiences that I've gone through have shaped and changed me, and I'm as happy as I was before. I'm becoming a better me, and I have never been, honestly, somebody asked me the other day how my mental health was or something like that, and you were supposed to respond with a picture that is already in your photo gallery, and I have to find exactly what it says because I forgot that, because that's my brain. But my my response was, be kind and full of love, but have boundaries like a motherfucker.
Right?
Seriously.
And that is my whole attitude from now on. It's like, seriously, be kind and full of love. You don't have to go through this life and make it, you know, harder on yourself by always, and I the self-sabotage thing is so real for me because I realized, I have made things harder on myself by being so down on myself all the time.
That is
And
me.
And me.
and it honestly, it clicked in me the other day, and I was just like, I really don't want to live life like this anymore. I don't want to be that person who's constantly down on themselves because you know what? There are beautiful things out there and amazing experiences. Meeting E helped prove that to me. This was all part of, just everything coming together. I have met only a couple other people that I have felt that instant, comfortable connection kind of thing with. Um, One of them was when I actually met Rachel Miner and I got to hug her because of her presence and the
I
the
want to hug
actual,
Rachel Miner.
oh, she gives the best hugs and she radiates so much love and it's so pure. She has got to have one of the purest hearts of
The Rachel
anybody that
Miner?
I've ever met, and you feel all of that, or at least me being an empath, I have felt every bit of that. It knocked me off my feet and I cried after I met her.
Who's Rachel
And
Miner?
that was one,
Rachel
yeah.
Miner. She's
She,
she flirted with being an A-list actress in the 90s. She went through basically hell. I mean, she dated like
yeah.
all the wrong guys, did all the wrong things, and she has come out to be just this amazing beacon of hope and love. Her body is being absolutely ravaged with MS. And she was, if you watch Supernatural, she was the longest standing Meg. The demon Meg.
Okay.
There's a reason that the end of the series that she sat in the throne the whole time. It's because she couldn't do anything other than sit.
Oh, wow.
But you couldn't tell because she's that good an actress.
Yeah.
So just to back up for a second, I have to tell you, just from someone who hasn't known you that long, Bexy, I have not seen the whole transformation, but I have to say, this will probably be the third time I think I've used that word for you in this episode, but you are spectacular. Austin and I talk all the time about how, and like I said, I don't know you that well and I haven't known you for that long. I was going through it at one point and, I sent her a text like, hey, it seems like we're going through some of the same things. Like, we should talk. And she's like, yeah, hell yeah. Like, whatever you want, whatever you need. But you are creative and sweet and insightful, and you are broken and tough as fucking nails, and that is something that I absolutely look up to. So,
I don't
let somebody say a bad word about you, because that will be the last thing that they do.
There will be an army going after that person, and I will be that spearhead for it, because that's my sister you're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
And Bexy, I don't know if you've sent the photo, the before we met photo, and the now kind of photo, where you can really see how much has changed just in your eyes alone. Like when
I need to put that all together. I'm working on that. I'm gonna do a way before picture, the
rock bottom,
found the happy. Yeah, I still have the rock bottom pictures because
and again,
it was I was dead eyed.
Yeah, biggest.
I can't. There's nothing I can say other than I was dead inside.
My biggest thank you is to Mark Pellegrino, because without him, I never would have met you.
Yeah, meeting him used to be the best day of my life, but it's the day I met you now.
I know, you keep saying that, and I keep tearing up every time.
I can't. I got to hug the man who saved me, finally.
You saved yourself. I couldn't save you.
I couldn't have done it if you weren't. I couldn't have done that if you weren't behind me the whole way.
Of course I was there the whole way.
A hand in the
Every
dark,
time
and
I
especially
faltered.
one that hangs on
Every
and
time
helps
I
you
fell.
walk through is just...
You keep telling me I did it myself, and I know I did the work. I'm not denying that.
Like, I'm like
But
the
I couldn't have
Morpheus.
gotten
I showed you
through.
the door. I could only show you the
I
door.
could not have gotten through all of that.
I know.
I could not have gotten through all of that.
And it's been an
without
absolute
you.
pleasure and honor to be there for you. I love you. I love you with all my heart and soul.
We should have been siblings. I swear. We should have been. We are now anyway. But
I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna say that there's a motherfucker in your family that would have had a knife through the chest if we were siblings.
Yeah, I know.
I almost did that to a member of my own family because a motherfucker did that something really nice to my sister.
Yeah.
I know. It's like it was a good thing I was too young and easy to be able to stop with a single arm.
But I've been normally before I would come on the shows and everything, I would have a little bit of a stressful time. I've been so ready to talk about this, and I'm so comfortable with it all now that I actually forgot I was booked on the show tonight.
I had forgotten about the podcast, and we're sitting there, we're talking on the phone, just chit-chatting away, and all of a sudden my alarm's all, ring, ring, podcast o'clock. Oh, shit!
He's like, oh, shit, it's almost time for the podcast. Oh, shit, you're the guest on the podcast.
Yeah, we need a guest for next week.
Oh, see, that simplifies things. Just move the location of your discussion.
Basically.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Although we were just talking about how hard I was trolling online earlier.
Oh,
that's my toxic trait. I am a troll. That's my toxic trait.
Can you like you passed
And
over that pretty
no
quickly.
one is safe from the trolling because even I've been trolled by him, but in a nice way, you know.
Can you fess up though, E? Because you're really good at like passing over, your contribution to things. Yeah, don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm bringing
stop
it
with
to you.
that
Don't
look.
look at me like that. But I mean, the fact is that that's a huge thing, and not many people do it. We need
No.
more people like you because there's lots of people who are out there broken, but there aren't many that will take the time to sit and be present and just be there. And I think we all know that that's the case. So, it may not feel like a big thing to you, but it's a huge thing. And, you should
It's
hold
a
a seminar.
life-changing thing.
I mean, seriously, for me, it was the easiest thing in the world to just be there. It just felt right to be there.
I've I've never had that that it doesn't matter how much distance there is between E and I. It is there the connection is so it's so strong that sometimes I swear that he can read my mind. He always has a way of popping up exactly when I need him.
And I mean, like I said,
He's always there.
I can't.
And you know
Like,
what?
I mean,
And he's
I
the kind
know
of
that.
friend. He's the kind of friend that if I say, "Hey, I can't deal with phone calls and stuff today. It's just a bad day," and he's like, "Cool." And then I get the meme barrage.
Or, hey, check out the song I found. Check out this song I found.
Yeah.
Check out this song. I do the song barrage.
Yes,
It will pull you out of it one way or another.
and he does. And it's, I never, I know how I feel when I reach out and I try to help somebody and I feel like I'm making a difference in some way in their life and that makes me feel amazing knowing that, I'm kind of it's like the pay it forward kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You get saved by someone and then you go out and you start, trying to help others
And that's all that I want.
I and that's all that I want. And I hope that, the people that have told me, if it weren't for you, I I, I don't know what I don't know if I'd still be here. I've talked people down and I've I'm so glad that I'm able to do that. And there are some things that I don't care how tired I am if somebody messages me in the middle of the night and they're feeling, really bad and I think that something, the thing that I'm going to stay up and talk
Same.
because people have done
We're
that for me.
we are social animals, and that is how it should be. It should be the whole I don't know what I would have done without you, you know, because
I
that's who we're meant to be. We have managed to, fear and anger and warp it almost out of existence. But that is what we should be doing for each other.
I realized another really important thing too. After I was excited for days after you visited. Like it was like the best high I've ever had in my entire life.
When I had family and friends asking
I was
about
in
my
a
trip, I always talk about,
yeah.
I had great time with my uncle. We had good food, we made music, we had good drinks, but guess what happened?
And it was an amazing feeling. And then I don't know what it was, but my niece walked in my apartment and I was doing something I don't even know why. It was just her and I, and Adam was in his room, and I was talking to her about how, she asked about our visit and everything, and this was a couple days after you had gone home. And I had that's when I had that moment of everything, every guard I had fell down. Every wall I put up fell down. I had one of the most purifying, genuine moments of my entire life, and I just felt like telling her about this because I realized that not only do I always have you, but I've always got her. And they are right there on the same level for me. And in some part of my mind, I never equated the two of them like that. But getting to see them meet each other, even though she was very sleepy, it was.
I wish she could have hung out longer. I really do, but I get it.
I do too, but she had to work the next
Yeah,
morning.
it was a freaking Monday night.
Yeah. But she's the one, when I realized that it was the relationship with her was so much more than just aunt and niece, and there really is, very best friend
you two
thing.
are peas in a pod.
Yeah, we really are. She's like my mini me.
She is. I still remember my first time encountering her on Twitter. I was like, I'm not sure who this person is that's in this thread. And I went and looked at the bio, and they're like, recovery. I was like, I don't know who you are, but fucking awesome on the recovery. The sobriety.
Right?
And then she's like, yeah, I'm like Bexy's niece. And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder you're awesome.
But she is, so I had two really big realizations in one day. And I mean, this was all kind of a lot to process. It's just like this epiphany happened, and it not only like changed the way I'm thinking about myself. I mean, I feel like fundamentally I have been changed to my very core by all of the events that have happened. And as bad as I felt before, I am 1,000 times happier now.
It shows. Like, I can see it. I can see it. I love it. You know what I need to start doing again?
Yeah.
I need to start doing my AMA walks and do it on Discord.
Oh, those are always fun. Those are always so fun.
In case you're wondering what AMA stands for, it's Ask Me Anything. You can ask me anything. I may not answer, but you can ask anything. Because there will be certain questions to be like, yeah, my answer is I'm not answering that.
Those were always fun.
Vanya came with all the great questions. She came with the best questions.
Oh my god, she's so awesome, though. Yeah.
All I know is if I ever take a trip out to Georgia, which I kind of planned on it, I have an aunt out there that I want to go visit. I also know that Vanya lives out there. I'm going to go visit.
Yes, I want photographic evidence of that, too.
Oh, hell yeah. And I want to make sure that I plan my trip to where I have another layover in Dallas.
Yes.
Both ways. Although I might need to do one. I might need to do one in Houston because there's somebody I have to meet in Houston too.
Yeah, I know who that someone is.
She deserves.
I'm pretty sure
she's an awesome person. That she deserves having good friends.
Yeah, she does.
We're talking about you, Disco.
Yes.
Such anger, little Sam.
Oh my god, I love that.
Right. By the way, I figured it out, Bexy. Guess how many miles apart we actually are?
How many?
1,440. And you know what's funny about that? 1,440 seconds makes 1 hour.
Wow.
Kind of a cool little coincidence there.
I think if anybody plays the lotto and they have like the pick 4 thing, I think 1440 is going to pop up in the lotto sometime soon.
No,
I pay attention to things like that, and when numbers pop up like that, and I've been right a couple times before.
nice. And I will say this.
So
So I don't know if you know this, Sarah. If it wasn't for Bexy, this podcast would not exist.
I have heard that, yes.
It was constant.
Yeah.
It was constant. You know, we'd be talking about something completely random. Then Bexy's all, "How's the podcast coming?" Or you just get a text message. "You working on your podcast?" Just out of the blue, just constant little messages and reminders. Podcast, podcast, podcast.
well, I had to do it. I had to. I knew. I knew
That's
once you
support.
got on the air that this was going to be something amazing. I knew that it would be
And
life changing.
And I turned around and kept going, "Self-publish your poetry, self-publish your poetry, self-publish your poetry."
But you really need to self-publish that book, you know. Yeah, I know. I finally did it. I'm still working on one.
May everybody get a friend that nudges you constantly, gently, persistently, fucking annoyingly, but with all the love in the world.
Yes. And that's the thing, that's great about me is he knows that I will push him. I'll be like, "Hey, how's that podcast coming? What you doing? Working on that little podcast? Yeah." I'll be like, "Stupid."
Yeah.
But I'm never going to get ugly or angry or mean about it. It's always going to be done in the nicest, sweetest way possible. Annoyingly so.
Oh, for sure. And persistent. But that's what makes it, yeah. Now, I want to say that there was one thing that you said earlier that made me think of a quote that I have learned to embrace. And it's a question and answer. The question is, do you know why life is so tough? Because it's worth it.
I like that a lot. And as human beings, we all need to learn that while life is tough, we don't have to make it tougher on ourselves.
No.
That is the hardest lesson to learn. Not to be down on yourself all the time. And I don't always succeed at it. I have bad days. I'm not saying that it's, a perfect philosophy, but it is life changing when you start to try to remember that you don't always have to go to the dark places, and you can, be like, "Okay, yes, this happened and I'm upset about it." Acknowledge your own feelings to yourself. I think that's a big thing. Some people will be like, "I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm unhappy," but they never say, "It's okay that I'm this way for a moment. It's not going to last."
Yeah.
We all need to remember that those hurtful, painful moments that come along don't last forever, and that there's so much joy and beauty and love in this world.
And a good
Even during those times, the little tiny things are,
Yes.
what you got to grab onto. And I know it's super hard for me because I get inside my own freaking head and I hyper focus, and I miss out on so many moments with my kid and with us, and like there are times where I'm like, shit, I have not left this house, I have not laughed in long time, and I think that's made the pandemic made it the sort of status quo for a lot of people. A lot of people are still working at home, and there's fear, but there are beautiful moments everywhere. Watch two bugs fight on your windowsill, whatever it is. There's it's always there somewhere.
I've recorded time lapse of clouds passing while I was in my office working just out the window, and then reflect on it, watching the time lapse of it. It's awesome.
That's really cool. Did you know when I could tell I was getting happier? It's when I started singing while I was cooking.
Yay.
Because I sing and I talk to my food when I cook it. Yeah, I'll be stirring mac and cheese, and I'm like, "Oh, melt in there, you creamy goddess of cheesy goodness." And,
You sound like Bob from
you know,
Bob's Burgers, which I absolutely adore the way he talks
I
about.
She
love
loves
Bob's
Bob's Burgers.
Burgers. I love Bob's Burgers. Oh my
Me
God.
too.
I was
That's my happy
totally a
place when I'm
Tina
having
in
a
my
super
teenage
bad
years. I
day.
was totally Tina.
For you,
Yeah, and then Bexy
I was
got me to watch.
totally Tina.
She got me to watch L'Independent Woman. That was such a great episode.
Yes.
that one's good. Yeah.
That's the episode that made me love Bob's Burgers. I had never watched it before. And then it came on and I was like, please don't mind my medicine machine chiming in the background. It came on and the scene where Louise is given the price gun and she's walking through the store, dollar whiskey, dollar scotch, dollar bourbon,
Dollar crotch. Yeah.
That part had me laughing
And then-
so hard.
And then she sends the shrimp flying. You'll live. Yes. When I'm having a really bad day, it is Bob's Burgers marathon. Like,
yes.
just,
Mine is Archer.
I want to get.
It's still H. John Benjamin, but I'm Archer all the way.
I have
no,
an
it's,
idea.
it's both. You don't have to choose. That's the beautiful thing.
No.
Well,
And
I
that's the
choose.
thing, and and I have an idea for a new tattoo that just occurred to me because of you, Sarah. Because we were talking about the raining shrimp, and I love the fact that Louise is like she's so proud of herself. I made it rain shrimp. What did you ever do? I'm getting a balloon with a shrimp tied to it tattooed somewhere.
Right?
On
Well,
now.
and she's so down and like all the time, but she just like it's that unbidden little girl moment of joy making shrimp fly around a store is beautiful.
Yes, it's
No, I'm with
amazing.
you. I'll get one
And
too. I'll get one too.
yes, I'm doing this. That's my next tattoo.
Okay,
I'm
now,
gonna do that. I think on my left leg.
now you guys cannot share the color of the balloons until you share the photos of them.
Okay.
Okay,
Ha!
That's about.
I think that's a cool idea.
that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. But yeah, those
Okay.
little joys are everywhere. And I know for me, like I said, I get bogged down in my head, and you were talking about, remembering that it's not permanent. It's all temporary. For me, it's remembering that, I can still live in the midst of all of whatever the crap is. I don't have to sit there and hold my breath and wait for it to be over, because
Yeah.
I do that hardcore and it makes you miserable.
You just make it last
Yeah.
longer. You're prolonging it.
Yeah. Well, and that's where a lot of but I'm a fixer too. So like my research, like I'm constantly trying to find some way to fix the situation I'm in. But really what I do is end up just, massively hyper focusing on it until it's all that I have is this problem.
So today, as an example, my little girl, she had one of those little moments. We had a baseball game today. It was their first game of the season, and they did great. My little boy, the youngest of all my kids, he actually got a ball hit to him. He's playing third base. He's the youngest and smallest on the team. He got the ball and ran and tagged the base and got the guy out. Final out of the game for our side.
That does not surprise me at all. He has got like the fiercest little look on his face.
Yeah.
He is tiny, but you can tell he will like
Tiny but
firecracker
mighty.
roll your ass over.
Yeah, tiny
Yeah,
but mighty.
exactly.
Oh yeah.
And, my little girl, she was a little bit upset that she didn't get a moment. She wasn't paying attention when her moment came and the ball went whizzing by her. Which is unfortunate, but I didn't bring it up because I'm not going to say, well, you had a moment, but you blew it. No, that's not good parenting.
Oh.
No.
It was, you didn't have your moment today, but you will have a moment in one game soon, and we will celebrate when you have your moment. But on the way to the car, she's all, Daddy, is this a ladybug? And she held out a box elder beetle. And I was like, no, honey, that's a box elder beetle. She's like, oh, it's really nice. I'm like, yeah, box elders are actually pretty awesome. And she's like, I like this. I'm going to let it go now.
Oh.
But yeah, total little that little moment there. It was so awesome to be able to share that. Of course, now I have to teach her, okay, so now there are other bugs that look like that. They're called assassin bugs. They hurt like a motherfucker. Fortunately, we don't have the kissing bug here, which gives Chagas disease, so I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
They also look like a box elder. They will fuck your world up permanently.
We have
box
those.
elders, the stink bugs. Oh no, never mind. I know what a box elder is.
Yeah, box elder looks like it's a true insect. You know, and it kind of looks like a true stink bug, not like the giant beetles that people call a stink bug.
Yeah.
Just because they stink. Although, a trolling moment, someone had a picture of those big black beetles that, they lift their butts in the air and they get that dampness on the end and they smell bad. And I was like...
Oh, they spray out the acid.
Yeah, I was like, someone's like, what's this called? I'm like, I don't know what you call it there, or what the scientific name is, but here, we call it the face down, ass up, stink ass bug. And one person's like, how bad does it smell? And I replied, almost as bad as it tastes. And another person can confirm.
Oh, I love those
I'm
moments.
really sorry. I have to check out a little bit early.
Yeah.
Things are kind of blown up over here, but
I was going to say, it's about time to wrap up the episode anyway.
Yeah, I think
It's been 2 hours.
I think I've said and conveyed everything that I need to.
And you're doing a lot better now than you were at the beginning of the episode. Beginning of the episode, I could tell you were suffering from a flare-up. You're still suffering.
Yeah.
But you have that endorphin
I'm
rush.
medicated now.
That too. Did somebody have a gummy?
Somebody did, and her nerve pain medicine. I'm good.
You're going to be good for a while.
you sort of looked like your head was a 1,000-pound bowling ball stuck to the pillow when we first started. You would move, but your head would just still be there.
And we were getting complaints that you were
it was...
sounding muffled at first, probably because your earpiece was in your ear, buried between the pillow and your head.
Yeah, I took that other one out.
Made a world of difference.
I'm just doing the one. This was I was ready to share finally.
In case you're wondering who all joined in the chat, we didn't have a lot of questions or anything. People are just enjoying the story. We had Kat tonight. We had Alice tonight. We had a surprise Brandy visit, and we also had Richard. We had a pretty good chat tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I do want to say, I love all of you guys. Honestly, it's so amazing to have this community of people where we can laugh and cry and share and overshare and go off on strange tangents and things.
And we could talk about farts and butt things.
And there it is. I said it the other day. I'm going to say it again. They say all roads lead to Rome, but it's really not true. All roads lead to the butthole when it's Andy talking about stuff.
Toilet humor. That's our thing.
That's our thing.
Yeah, I think we spent an hour just showing pictures of different commodes. We totally
toilet
did.
Humor is like kids. It keeps you young, Well,
I mean, even Big Bang Theory talked about it. They said that, the diminishing returns on humor does not apply to toilet jokes.
No, it doesn't. Well, Big Bang's right about just about everything, so that would make sense.
I have the humor of a 12-year-old boy. I swear I do.
I have the energy of one.
I know.
And I still wonder how I got fat.
We're sitting here watching the movie, and he's all, I just have to touch you. Poke.
I legitimately did that.
You guys are adorable.
Just that
real. I have to cut out.
It was just I looked
Good night,
over.
Everybody,
Like,
love you all.
Poke. All right, love you too, Sarah.
Bye, Sarah. Thank you for being here.
All right, Bexy. Thank you.
I'm so glad she was here for this episode.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
I think she needed it. I needed it. It was meant to be. I'm sad that the reason she's here is because Oz is a little exhausted and resting. He's so worn out. And Oz, if you're listening, please, please, please rest and take care of you, sweetie.
Definitely. And Bexy, I think Sarah needs you.
Yeah.
You guys bonded strong tonight.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Sarah.
Yeah, so my way of helping Sarah is going to be, hey, Bexy, sick her. And if she's still listening. And we got to thank you, Bexy, from
I
Kat.
hope so. Oh, Kat, I love you, sweetheart.
I really want to get Kat on a podcast episode. I know she's not going to, but I'm always going to say it because it's not just kind of a joke.
Now, see, I have to visit Callie because there's so many people out there that I need to hug now.
I need to hug Kelly. All right, and you need to go take care of your meds.
I need more e-hugs.
I need more Bexy hugs. Except that when you come to California,
Yes.
you're not getting one because that's how I get to hold you hostage. You said you're not leaving without it.
I know.
I'll come to you for the hugs. You come here, you're stuck. All right,
I don't know, but I think, if I got to be around you on the daily, I wouldn't mind being in California.
honestly, you gave me a good reason to want to move to Texas. California's expensive as hell. Just saying.
Yeah. I know. I've had family that live there. I've visited way in the past.
There are cities where their poverty line is above 100,000 a year here in California.
Oh,
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
yeah, that's a bit. Yeah.
That's a bit much.
Oh,
Anyway, that's a different
Don't
story
wanna-
for a different time.
it is. I want to say thank you to everybody that listened. I share all of this because I genuinely want to help other people, and I want to let people know that you don't have to go through this alone. You can find, the people out there, your tribe who will support you. I'm very lucky that I have many, many wonderful people in my life who, are willing to kick my ass when I need it.
And all it really takes one, maybe two people. Really.
Yeah, it really does. And, sometimes I have to give credit to a lot of people for helping me along the way because I've had a lot of helping hands. And there's no shame in that, guys. There's no shame in it at all.
And you're going to
The
need more
old me
helping
would have
hands.
looked back and said, oh my God, look how broken you were because you had to have all of these people help you. Now I look and I say, I am really fortunate and grateful and blessed to have had these people who are standing behind me and holding my hand or pushing me and nudging me. And I'm starting to see other people in friend groups that I've been involved in who are starting to come around and love themselves more. And I'm talking about a certain someone, and I hope she knows it's not you. I'm talking about sweet Ariel. I have been loving her posts lately.
She is starting to come
Just-
around in such a great way.
She really
remember when
is,
I
and
honed?
she's-
Remember when I honed in on her, and I even told you it's like, okay, it's time to go after her.
Yep. I remember.
And then she was
my first thought was she doesn't stand a chance, and she doesn't even know it.
no. And like I said, like I was
And
like,
it's so subtle.
and it was like,
But-
let me throw out a compliment and watch her tear it down and expose a truth about her that she's trying to hide. And then I talked about the hair color thing, and bam, there it was. Instantly, right on cue. And I was like, yep, I got your bead now. I got you. I love you, Ariel. I'm glad you came on our show. Would love to get you back on again.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry that was a little devious of me. I even told you about it afterwards. Directly, because, I got to. I can't not. But yeah, you got on our radar. And, like, honestly, it's like, politically, we're about as opposite as they come in a lot of ways. But
Yeah.
it's not, and don't let politics ruin friendships. Seriously, don't.
No.
A golden heart is a golden heart. We want the same end result. We just have different politics. It's just different ways of getting there. Recognize that it's all about the same goal, which is what's best. That's it. What's best.
That's it. And watching the things that she's been posting lately, I am just every time I see one, I swear my heart leaps with joy. It's just an amazing thing to see. And I love watching friends. I don't know how to say it, come alive again.
After watching you do it, it's so fun watching it again and again. Like, I will never get bored of it. Ever.
No.
It's not possible.
It is so great. That's what we need, folks. We need to root for each other.
And if you're in a relationship, one of the things that I learned, I learned this super hard and super long and late in life. It's one of those I was today years old kind of things, just about 2 weeks ago, which is about when you get into an argument with your significant other, you need to realize that you're not fighting with them. You're supposed to be fighting alongside them. You're partners. Right. You both want what's best for each other. Recognize that.
You just have different ideas of how to get there.
Yeah, and recognize that. Remember, like, you may be like, why are you opposing me? And then they get hurt. Or you get accused, why are you going against me? And it hurts because you're not.
Right. You just have a different viewpoint, a different way of looking at it. And if you can realize that and you can sit with the other person that you're in this argument with, then maybe you can find that common ground and find a solution that works for both of you and move forward from there.
I mean, you two got together for a reason.
Right.
I mean, I've been married now for over 10 years. And we got into a major argument just the other night. And I was doing you use a lot of you statements, like you this, you that, you this, you that. How do I not take that personally? And she simply said, here's a question you could ask. What do you mean by that? Well, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Don't take it personally.
Right.
Even if it seems personal, don't take it personally. Even if it's a you statement and it sounds personal because it's a you statement, it's your partner.
Right.
All right, I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I think this is a good note.
All right, everybody, we will be
Look
back.
at me in my free speech shirt.
Woohoo! I was wearing my Only Love shirt earlier today.
I wore that the other day.
Nice. All right, so we will have a guest next week. We'll figure it out. We always do. And if we don't have a guest, well, then we'll come up with the topic. And we will be on the other side of the spring equinox. We'll be on longer days and shorter nights on the next episode. Ooh. How freaking cool is that?
I just realized tomorrow's my birthday.
It is. All right, everybody. Until next time, I'm E.
I'm Bexy.
And we'll catch you on the next week.